I don't. Did you? I don't know. Like, she's out there. You're the Florida version of Sex in the City, JD.
That's when I was smoking my cigars.
Don't be an asshole today. Okay.
This is a blue glass bouquet, for sure. They're finally putting in my new air conditioner, so you may hear some noise in the background. Probably most of it's over. So.
Oh gosh. Okay. What a day. What a day.
Oh my gosh, they had to get a crane to bring it up to the roof, which they weren't expecting to do. So that was another last minute moment.
It'll
But
all
here
be
I
worth it,
am.
you know, when you sleep in 72-degree air.
Yes. Fortunately, it's been cool. Your mom's probably told you, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah,
you've
she did.
spoken. Unusually cool, but here we are. So tonight we will have air.
She misses most of the mornings when it's really cold.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh, really?
Yeah, she doesn't get up until late, so half the time
Ah.
she misses like the cold snap. But yeah, that's retired life for you.
Yes, it is. You can sleep in when it's cold. So I'm
Yes.
still fixing. Do I look good? Do I look okay for our
Yeah,
show?
you look fine. We've got Dr. Linda Spann joining us from the Lesbian Couples Institute out of
Yeah.
Denver, Colorado. So we're going to let her in because we want to get started. Yay! Hi, Dr. Spann.
Hi. I'm well. I'm well now.
Excellent. We're so excited that you could join us for this. We've been talking about it now for a couple of shows because we got a ton of questions. We've got a ton of questions.
I might have an answer or two.
Maybe.
We have a lot of questions, no answers.
Yeah, you know, like Jay, do you even remember what spawned us down this road? Like all of a sudden we were like, how do people meet now? I think it was maybe pandemic driven. We were saying,
oh yeah,
how do people meet now? And like, how are they actually dating? And what's it like when you're over 50 and maybe you're not technology savvy and you're not swiping right and swiping left? And like, what's going on? You know, I feel like a little bit out of it. You know, I mean, we're both, I'm in a relationship, she's in a relationship, but you know, we know a lot of viewers may or may not be. So we really want to cover the gamut here about like, you know, how things are going for us over 50s. I mean, we even have questions about, you know, ones that are in relationships, like even like long-term relationships and but yeah, we were, I guess, because Valentine's Day is coming up and, you know, everybody handles that different. I was telling Jay, my wife and I don't make a big fuss over anything, anniversaries or Valentine's. We just make each other a card with crayons.
Sweet. Sweet.
Yeah, pretty much it. But you know, we're like OG relationship people, like, you know, been going at this now for 12, 13 years. We're settled in.
You got it down. Well, you even did the long distance thing, the LDR first, and then which people don't always survive. And then you were in another country thing. You guys both moved to another country. You've really gone through a lot of changes. I think for one, you know, for a couple to go through and have survived it all. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, back when we were doing the long distance thing, it wasn't as easy. You know, we weren't like Skyping, and I mean, this was like 2008, you know, 2009. So we weren't Skyping and texting because we couldn't do that. She was in Australia, I was in Florida. Wow. You know, it was hard. It was a lot of emails and buying those little phone cards, international phone cards, you know, the time difference was insane, you know, like you know, her late night was my early morning, and it was, yeah, it was not easy. So yeah, we survived that. Maybe that's it now. It's just like we're, you know, that was so brutal, you know, that we're just thankful that that we
Yeah, I'm never letting go of you. That was too hard.
yeah, exactly. It was, you know, but you know, we settled on London, you know, and I think, you know, a lot of people always say to me, "Don't you miss Florida? Don't you miss Florida? Does she miss Australia?" And I think, yeah, we do, you know, but you know, for the longest time, we couldn't see where we're at now. You know, you couldn't see the forest through the trees or whatever. So now we get to be together every day. We've got the house together. We've, you know, got established lives here now, and you know, we can look back at all that and say, yeah, it was hard, but you know, we did it. So you know that, yeah, I think it's just gratitude. It's just gratitude at this point.
Oh, I have a lot of friends who are in this situation where they are now looking to date, and they're in their 50s, some of them late 50s, and they're finding it really hard to meet people. Because like I was saying the other day, if I were in school, like it's easy to meet people when you're younger because you have more social circles for some reason. But when you settle into life and you're working and you have a routine, and some people might have had kids, you know, by the time you're in your 50s, you have kids and maybe, you know, maybe grandchildren, I don't know, depending on how young you had children. And it's just more difficult. It's more complicated, I think, to meet people who have common interests.
The way things are now over the last couple of years, like there's so few festivals and events. You know, it used to be like networking events were so fun and festivals were fun. And, you know, now it's just, there's just, you know, I mean, we're getting there, but it's kind of put a two-year dent, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Dating life has been on hiatus for sure for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to open up, but you know, who knows?
Yeah, because everybody's handling it different. It's like your own personal safety has become your own, you know, it's not, I don't know, like I don't even look at the CDC or WHO or, you know, what federal, state, local guidelines or anything are anymore. It's just about my own personal safety. And I'm not ready to be in a crowd yet, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
they're coming back. I don't know that a lot of people are on that page yet. So it is, you know, I know that we will get there. It's everybody's at a different place. We're all not at the same starting line, you know. Some people are back a little bit, some people are way ahead. So yeah, it's got to be quite challenging. I'm sure you hear it a lot.
Yeah, I think there are immense challenges right now, and I think there is a little bit of a the pot of gold at the end of the rainstorm. I won't call it a rainbow.
Yeah.
Because people are getting out more. So Jay, you raised an interesting question, which is, you know, at the stage of life, we're bringing all of our history forward. We can call it baggage, and some of it's baggage, and some of it's just, you know, we have our individual quirks that have been a little bit more set in than say when we were in our 20s. So one aspect of dating is, who am I and what do I want to put out there and what am I looking for and how do I go about it? And then there's the social aspect or the socio-cultural aspect of, we're in a pandemic still, and I don't want to go to a meetup that's in a restaurant because that doesn't feel safe.
Right.
So I think there's two aspects: the how, and then the what about me.
Yeah, it is. It's a little strange too, because there's such a I hate to use there's such a political divide in vaccinated and unvaccinated, you know, that affects your way of thinking. And it might not even be, you know, something that's like right there on your brain, but it's back there, you know, and it's swirling around, and, you know, you don't even know if you'll offend somebody if you ask the question, you know, are you vaccinated or are you not?
That's true. That actually is true.
So,
there was a shaming around that.
Right,
So
right.
Although it would be interesting to know the statistics around this. My guess is that lesbians and queer folks are probably more in the political liberal camp that's like,
Yeah,
let's get
definitely, yeah.
vaccinated for heaven's
Right.
sakes. So
Right.
I think that might be a little more challenging for women that are looking for different sex relationships.
True. True.
But that's just a
Indeed.
guess.
Yeah. I would
Probably
think
coming
that,
out of my own bias.
do you like events nowadays, they are being a little bit more meticulous, like with events, they'll say vaccinated only,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I would feel, a little bit more comfortable, attending something like that. But again, it's still that weird feeling like of being around people that are getting too close, or I gotta fly in less than 2 weeks and I'm a nervous wreck. I have not been around that many people in so long. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just, so, I really do feel for people that, went through this single,
Yes.
like, and I mean, that isolation had to have been horrible.
Yeah.
I met my girl Danny right before the pandemic. So it was a little interesting because we met about not even 6 months, about 4 months before the pandemic, and then we're quarantining pretty much together. So it's like we almost got this false like view of who we were. We both come from very close Italian families. So we have both families that want our time. And that wasn't a thing for us before because we were just the two of us. So, we had to navigate through that. And also she's got her friends and I have my friends, and friends weren't an issue. I'm a musician and I play at night, different places, and that wasn't an issue. All the things that kind of were a problem. Some of things were problems for me in my previous relationships weren't there in the beginning because it was just us. Another thing I think, aside from the pandemic, that's a problem for gay women is that there's not too many lesbian bars around.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to say I'm going to go to the club and meet someone.
Yeah.
Where other people, even there's most of the gay bars are men. Gay men's bars. So yeah, that's always been an issue.
We're fortunate in Denver. One of the few remaining lesbian bars is here, and there's this really cool event. The first Friday of every month, there's this big venue that has a lesbian night, and it's a lot of fun. But I've read the news too of how many have just shut down.
Yeah.
Meetups for a while, getting on the meetup site and finding a group of, lesbians going on hikes or walking their dogs or those sorts of things were available. And now it's a little bit scary to do that.
Yeah, we had Andrea Meyerson on the show, and she coordinates those kind of big excursion, kind of things, and a couple of other people, especially like charity things, fundraising events and stuff like that. And, the way that companies have had to adapt, to moving things online. And, in a way that's great because they were able to, turn on a dime and figure out a way to keep people together and whatnot. But if you're that person at some point in this, you're probably really sick of, being on your laptop and talking, to people, complete strangers or whatever, and still being a part of these events and whatnot, because that's, been the only way to socialize for the longest time if you're on your own. And, maybe it's good because, I do remember, when Jem and I were doing the long distance thing, all you can do is talk.
Yeah, I was going to say you can flip that. I mean, we can focus on the negative aspect of it and the hassle and all of that, but there is a positive aspect, and that is, in that first stage of falling in love, when you're together, that all the love hormones take over and hijack our sensible brains, and so a lot of times we dive into more of that physical expression. And when there's a barrier to that, and you have to meet online or through emails,
Phones
you
and
really have an opportunity to build that friendship foundation without being all hopped up on love hormones in person, right?
That's
And
true.
so
Yeah, that's
there's
really
a
true.
beautiful aspect to that. It requires some self-talk though, like, okay, I can do this, and yeah, maybe I'm not all that tech savvy, but it's not that hard to figure out how to
Right.
either get on an app and then meet somebody virtually, like on Zoom, or I think a lot of the apps have their own platform for security. So there's a little bit of mental gymnastics of we can cheer ourselves on, and this is the climate. Do I want to date or not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And if
Right.
I want to, okay, then this is the current way to do it. These are the rules right now.
Yeah. I'm
And
gonna
wrap your
have to-
head around it.
gonna
It
have to
isn't
jump
that
in.
hard.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you do have
And
to.
then focus on, oh, maybe there's even an advantage to this because I can be myself. I can get to know someone without all that other stuff clouding the reasonable vision.
Yeah, I mean,
And
think
end
about
up
that.
knowing someone much more deeply before jumping into the U-Haul.
Or
Right?
the sack, just saying. Yeah, exactly. It's it's true. That's what I mean. I think that, they're on the flip side to all that, you're probably getting to know somebody on a deeper level, before, like I said, like
That's
jumping into
true.
bed with someone or
Yeah.
jumping in the U-Haul, like you said. You don't really have a choice in the matter. If you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to take you don't really have you can't go any faster.
Yeah, yeah.
There's there's a deadly virus out there. So you either make that choice or you pull back a little bit and play it cool. But I do think that was part of the reason why I like when we finally were able to get married and make this choice to move to London and start here. There were no surprises or
Right.
things that came up that, oh, you never told me about that. Yeah, we did we did the long distance thing for almost 3 years. There's nothing I haven't told you at this point. I have an open book, and that's all we did was talk, whether it was on AOL buddy video chatting or
You're dating yourself now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so
Right.
crazy to think how difficult it was. Oh my God. And it was a different foundation than I had with any of my other relationships. Any of them, they were all, first gear, second gear, fifth. That was how they always were. So
And you gave them the McDonald's voucher for the way home. So they didn't stay too long the next day.
Yep. There'll be no
That's
making of
funny.
breakfast. Get your clothes. Here's a voucher for a McMuffin. Nice knowing you. Yeah, things were really different.
I love that. I just love that.
That was nice. That was a nice one night stand.
Yes, you were a nice one night stand.
But I think that really made a difference. And it's hard to sell somebody on that though, that's not used to it. To make them understand that, it's like building a house. Like if you've got a good foundation, your house will withstand, pretty much anything.
Exactly.
If you don't have a good foundation, it's not going to work. And that was probably like the biggest lesson I learned from that, aside from patience. There's nothing you can do when you're in a long distance relationship. Like you got to have patience. Like the next time we're going to see each other is 6 months, like, oh man. So yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. And I
would say, I don't want to interrupt you, but I had another thought. Sort of along with this, I think, for women in their 50s, they've probably been in previous relationships. It's also an opportunity to do some of that self-reflection that I think can make the next relationship better. And that is to just take some of the time that you have to really dig into, all right, you know, my relationship ended. What was my part in that? How do I want to show up differently in this next relationship? And just use that time to do some of that self-work so that when you do end up in the presence of a, you know, someone that you on a first date, and what's the goal of the first date? Is to have a second date usually. But when you finally get there, that you've done a bit of that self-work so that you're showing up, you know, from that space of being in your highest self, recognizing the shit that you did in the past that didn't serve your relationship, and the moving into a positive mindset of how am I going to do it differently so that I can have what I want and attract the person that I want to be with, right?
Do you find that people are open to that idea, or are we a little bit more stuck in our ways?
I think we're totally blind to those ideas, and that, you know, in general, and I put myself in that same category too, right? We just barrel ahead. Like sometimes there's that desperation of I don't want to be alone. I can't be alone. I'm, you know, I don't want to die alone. And from that desperateness, then the blinders stay really stuck. And that's when we end up settling for less than optimal.
Right.
So well, I do think it's a challenge, and that's my challenge to you, listener, and to all three of us too, right? Let's really do our own work so that we can show up as our most genuine, authentic self. Yeah. And then we attract people that like us and that we like, because we don't have
there is a lot of first of all, I feel like there's such a negative connotation around the word baggage. You know, it's not really, it's
experience. It's history.
Past. It's our past, and it's
you have to have good, that, right?
Yeah, some good, some bad, but at this age, it's there. You know, you've had, you know, good relationships, bad relationships.
12, it's there.
There's no way around it. That's true.
Yeah, however, but I think it just sounds like so awful when you say someone's got a lot of baggage. What does that mean? Like, I mean, they're over 50. Of course, they're going to have baggage, whatever, you know, whatever, however you want to put it. But yeah, I think that's the first thing, is that you have to understand that if you're looking for someone in your age range, you know, like that's the same age as you, you know, it's going to be the same for them, you know, the same for them. So yeah, I think there's a way of looking at it as it's just life, you know. That's
a great point. That's really very true. It's you're not going to find someone in their 50s that doesn't have an ex or something in their past.
Yeah,
right. You know, if they didn't, don't date them. I mean, you don't
want, that's true.
You want
it's like you gotta wonder if they were just locked in a basement somewhere.
Yeah, they've been locked away somewhere in a container. I, however, made the unfortunate colossal mistake when I started dating this last time around, because I spent like almost 2 years completely brokenhearted from the previous relationship. And it was the first time in my life I had ever been the one that was left. And I don't mean to say it that way. My marriage broke up for other reasons, and, you know, but it was just like, there was no getting back at that point. And I was just crushed for so long. And I waited a long time to get out there. And then as soon as I got out there, and what I mean by getting out there was getting on Match, you know, which is like not always the best thing, but the only way I could think of at the time. I would always talk about my ex on the date. And like, that was like, isn't that number 101 mistake?
That's a turn on.
How did I ever get a second? I really didn't always get a second date, because it was like, who wants to hear that? But, you know, I only can realize that now looking back.
Yeah. And good for you that you can see that. That
you have to do the work, like you said, like you have to work through that, because you can't bring that into the next relationship.
That's true.
And we all bring it in a little bit, but to that often is a turnoff for first dates, right? Is to be dwelling in the pain, your own pain of the past.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's
so,
tough.
yeah, to do the work ahead of time can be helpful.
Definitely.
The thing about, I instead of baggage, I call it roots. We all have roots. We have our family
Perfect.
roots, our
Yeah.
sociocultural roots.
That's a good say.
Right. And part of what can be really fun about a new relationship or preparing for it is to examine what are the roots, what has been the download over the years that impacts me, that makes me who I am. And then have conversations early on about, well, having good questions and good topics for conversation, so that it is very much about positivity and forward, and not the X and not my woes, but conversations around my roots, your roots, can be super informative.
Yeah.
And helpful to, I don't know, interesting. And then if you actually do become a couple, then that's really helpful moving forward to know
Yeah.
what are your vulnerabilities, and what are the things, the good things from your roots, and the things that cause you pain.
Yeah.
What do
That's-
you
that's-
suggest couples, how couples handle when you do become a couple, like if both people have children, or if one person has children, trying to blend or make it work, maybe not blend, but say they're grown, because by 50s, they're probably grown.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
children, it's probably not in the house anymore. And I have some friends that have that problem, where they have children and they have to juggle and try to just make it work for
Yeah.
holidays and events, family
Yeah.
events.
And it can be super challenging to blend. When my wife and I started seeing each other, I think we're coming up on our 17th anniversary next month.
Wow.
And she had 2 teenage daughters at the time. And so it required conversations for her to have with the kids. Not where she was doing the lecturing, but where she was sharing some information, but then getting them to talk about, what's this like for you, that now I'm dating a woman, and I've, I was married to your father and had other relationships with men, and really moving into the curiosity of, let me hear from the kids what this is like for them. And instead of trying to impose something, just open up the conversation is one thing. Another thing that I think is important is for the non-biological parent, the new partner, to really approach it not in a way of, oh, now suddenly I'm a parent,
Right.
but I'm here as someone that cares about your mom, and I want to know you. Coming from the spirit of, I just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to replace any of your parents. I'm not here to become a, stern or, dish out any consequences or punishments for little kids, and really not take that kind of a parental tone, at least for a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's gotta be tough. That's gotta be really tough.
Fine line.
Yeah, kind of glad I dodged that one.
Yeah, I think that's like part of the importance of the show today, that we're focusing on women in their 50s, because the younger generations are not dealing as young people with what women in their 50s did. Those generations of even like politically correctness and what it was like to, coming out was so much harder for women in their 50s than it would be for people in their 20s and even 30s now. So, I think that also, like, the younger people don't understand what it was like to be coming out and or not coming out because of the way the world was.
Right. Yeah. The heteronormative culture was, you remember. And one of the things I would say to a lesbian in her 50s or 60s or 70s that was a young person during that era, is that things are different now. And to kind of calm down that part that's so afraid, that probably experienced the bigotry and homophobia as a younger person, and kind of reassure yourself, all right, I have much more freedom to be me out loud than I did when I was in my teens and 20s.
Right.
And find somebody in your network that's a little bit younger, that has that self-confidence, and have some conversations with that person.
That's a great idea. I was in a relationship once where the girl I was dating was extremely jealous of my friendship with my ex-husband, because he was, like a brother. Like, I went over there on Christmas morning to watch his, he had a fiance, and she had a 6-year-old. So I would love going over there on Christmas morning, watching the kid open the presents and, have breakfast and whatnot. And then we would all meet up at my mother's house later on that day. And this girl I was with just couldn't wrap her head around it. She couldn't stand it. So that didn't last long at all. But Gemma never, ever had an issue with Chuck. She always adored him, and she was, so supportive of my relationship with him. And she knew that, there was, he was with somebody else. I was with her. There was nothing, she never went looking for things to be upset about, especially because there was nothing there. So I got really, really fortunate, and that was part of why I knew this is the right one, because she's not giving me any shit about my, my friendship with him.
The generations a bit younger than us, they don't struggle quite as much with that.
No.
So good for them. I mean, that's what we want, is we want to leave a legacy for the the people coming behind us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, more pleasant. Yeah,
it's true. That is it. That's some of the things that you think. We did go through, some shit. Honestly, like we really did. And those before us, not even saying
even
that
more.
We're the one, you're right, like they had it 10 times worse. And then so yeah, I do like the idea of maybe gaining some insights, from younger, especially if you're single, like to talk to them about apps and proper terms. And, the last thing you want to do is offend somebody. And I don't, everybody's getting used to this, gender fluid, non-binary, this, that, the other thing, and all these pronouns and whatnot. It's just something that, it's not that we don't like it, we're just not used to it, so to hang with somebody that is so versed in those terms, that it's so normal for them, it really, it's like free school, I like that idea. That's amazing. This is the thing. This is why we wanted to have you on, because these are all great tips. And really quick, because now we're down to like a minute. I just want to say, I feel like people don't put pressure on yourselves over Valentine's Day. People put a lot of pressure on themselves, and we want them to, to have fun with it, if anything, like not for it to be so stressful. So
right.
Get your crayons out. Get your crayons out. So what we want to do is, maybe we didn't get a whole lot of questions just yet, but we really want people to engage and send us some very pointed questions, so we can do a little Q&A with you. But we want to have you back after Valentine's Day, so we can hear the ups and downs of people's how they handled it, and
awesome.
Have another conversation with you if you're
willing.
I would love it.
We'd love to have you back. Yes.
Thank you.
This has been so fun, and we thank you so much for your time and your efforts and what you're doing. And we'll encourage people to go to is it Lesbian Couples
Institute.com. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I had a blast.
We'll see you at the end of the night then. Thank you. Bye, girls. Like, never stop chasing your dreams. There, see?
We drank way too much whiskey.